We're back once again, only on this Last Call. Last Call of the Alcohol, only on the LastCallPodcast.com. And as always, when we're talking pro wrestling, we got one guy who's on his way. He's may or may not be celebrating a certain wrestling reporter getting fired. I can't divulge that information due to might be having some peppermint schnapps right now. But this guy is ready to go. He's ready to drop some truth bombs, break down some pay-per-views, and if you don't like what he has to say, well, that's your problem, not his. I give you, once again, the man, the myth, and the wrestling podcaster, manager, bumper, and all-around shit-talker. I give you Joseph J. Alexander. So, JJ, let's start off here with, the more things change, the more they stay the same. At WWE, it was supposed to be, it was the first time in a long time, Kevin Owens versus CM Punk. And for a while, we were all excited about the match, and the match went pretty well. They delivered until the ending, and then there was a ref bump, and they were like, okay, what the hell is going to happen? And then Sami Zayn came down. He blasted CM Punk right in the head. Owens goes for a starter, 1, 2, nope, yeah. CM Punk kicks out. So Sami grabs the title again. Tries to hand it to Kevin Owens. Kevin says, no, I don't want to win it this way. So what does Sami do? Blasts him. CM Punk then pins Kevin Owens, and then afterwards, Sami Zayn gets in the ring, hits, CM Punk in the head, hits Kevin Owens again in the head, and then once again, hits CM Punk again right in the head, and well, spoiler alert, it's going to get more convoluted this SmackDown, so I guess we're getting a multi-man world heavyweight title match again. What are they doing here creative? I guess now it's going to be a 5-way possibly between these three men, Gunther, Finn Balor. What the hell is going on here, JJ?
I told you what was going to happen at SummerSlam. When they did that, when they did the 4-way for the number 1 contendership, I said, you see all these guys? The 3 that are left over are going to be in the Money in the Bank match along with a couple others. That's what's going to happen. It's formulaic. This match was formulaic. I was waiting for the ref bump. I was waiting for Sami to show up, and I was waiting for Kevin to get screwed. There's no way they were going to give away another WWE title championship, another WWE title victory on free TV when they just did it with Punk on Raw a couple months ago.
I mean, I get it. I kind of do. All right, you don't want to just give away. I get it. You're trying to all right, hey, that's only for the PLEs because it's going to make them happy for giving all that money. But it's just a kid. And then the worry I have is we're getting Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, part 1,253. God damn it. They're just going back to the well for everything. I mean, screw rematches or trilogies. They're doing now part 18 in this chapter book that is called Owens and Zayn, and
I mean, it's number one. It goes back to the same thing I've been saying: is they're treading water and they're going with stuff that they know works and is safe. The only advantage is, and I remember someone made a meme years ago. It was probably when they were first both on the main roster. After they had both come up from NXT, and I think it was their first encounter facing off against each other, whatever feud was. So you're probably talking 8 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. And, of course, all the indie fans remember their long storied history in Ring of Honor and everything like that. And it was just a black and white picture of them, head to head, and the camera was looking up, and it was head to head. And it was the quote from the Batman comic where it was the Joker saying, "I believe you and I are destined to do this forever." And I have no problem with it because it's, when people talk about some of the great rivalries, you see, the A&E show of WWE rivalries, and some of them are so convoluted where it's this was one of the greatest rivalries. It's no one really remembers it. People are going to remember Zayn and KO. Even just their WWE shit. people are going to remember. They work well together. I just hate the fact that they just went back to it. They're just like, oh, all right, nope, we're going to do it right away because we want to keep placating to Pepsi Phil. So no one else can have the belt right now, which I don't fucking get. And so now we're getting this, and we're getting Sammy, Sammy playing super tweener with I'm a real hero, yada yada. The only way I see this paying off at all is Sammy somehow stealing a win and getting that title back because Johnny Gargano helps him out. That's the only way I see anything like this. But you know something? That would be fun, and that would be entertaining, and that would be a risk. So I know that creative's not going to fucking do it.
Like, I can see it almost like they do a 5-pack challenge that may be Survivor Series, where it's just like, oh god, no. They'll have Gunther versus Balor versus Punk versus Sammy versus Owens. And CM Punk will deliver like the go to sleep to probably Finn Balor, of course. He's the lowest man on the totem pole. Sami Zayn throws him out, steals the pin, and then goes, yes, I am a champion. And then they feud at Royal Rumble because let's face it, it's all they can do. It seems it's like you can't have feuds anymore where it's like, well, I'm feuding with this guy, not for the title, because something else, because he did something that pissed me off, or he offended me, or hey, he did something horrible. It's all these guys like just they're intertwined because of the belt, which I get. It's the heavyweight title belt, but it just feels lazy, like really lazy.
It is. It is very lazy. I don't believe we're going to get a super multi-man match with these people. I think all the ancillary people are going to get thrown into the Money in the Bank match, along with a couple of people from Raw. And that Money in the Bank match is going to be the whole thing of this is how we're going to try to put a little bow on all these little programs. And it's not going to work, but it's what they're going to do because they don't want to do, that they've already been doing too many 3-ways and 4-ways for the WWE title in recent memory. So, it feels like, and like this would be something where like the Elimination Chamber could come into play, but that's not until next year. So they're not going to do that. And they like to hold up shit for that. But you figure there's going to
Again,
be,
Survivor Series, I can easily see them do a 5-way because again, they want to get all these guys in the card.
Mm-hmm.
You already are going to have a War Games match, so you
Yeah.
already got to deal with for Raw people. You can't just so you're going to have like a triple threat or a 4-way or a 5-way because you can't do Survivor Series.
Bring back the Armageddon Hell in a Cell. They just do it with the double ring. The one where Rikishi took the bump into the hay truck.
Yeah,
that one. That was because that was a 6-way clusterfuck for the title. So you could if you want. I don't think they will. Why? Because it would be fun and it would be new. We're stuck. We're stuck in a land of complacency and focus groups and maximizing, certain demographics. And that's the sad part.
I mean, again, I love a good Sammy versus Kevin Owens feud. They, as I said, they know how to work together. As Charlotte Flair once said, you always love to hurt the people that you like the most.
Right.
So this makes sense. It's just again like it feels lazy. It just feels like it's there. We don't have to put much effort into it. They'll make magic. We could have them feud over a hot dog,
mm-hmm.
and people eat it up like ice creams. It just
right.
Again, I get they're trying to play it safe, but
right.
You tell me that between Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, Paul Levesque, Paul Heyman, the 4 of them couldn't come up with something better.
Bruce Pritchard is checked out and has been checked out. Michael Hayes has great ideas, but it's kind of hard for him to keep up with it. And he's even admitted it's hard for him to keep up with, the youth nowadays. But I'm still of the opinion that come, May of 2027, after the Saudi money is delivered and they do the WrestleMania and then they have to start scurrying to figure out what to do now, that Michael Hayes is going to be like, I think it's time for me to retire. And Bruce Pritchard's going to be like, yeah, I'm done. Bye. And leave Trips holding the bag.
How would you book it right now? Because again, it's sort of like you can't have Kevin Owens just, I guess, lose this feud because it's like, well, so I guess because it'll be Sammy and Owens again.
Mhm.
Gunther's around. You've already had him go through almost everybody in this roster in some way
Mhm.
or shape or fashion. Sammy, is still the guy who is no problem being the heel. So there's money to be made with him and Punk. It just feels like they're afraid to have one guy really just sort of go into that no man's land where, all right, well, maybe you'll feud with Trick Williams or Baron Corbin or heaven forbid, Carmelo Hayes. Like again, like who's going to be the loser out of those four? I'm not counting Finn because Finn, I think, is this is a knock against him, but he's not in that same group as the first four we mentioned. So what do they do? I mean, what would you do if you were Paul Levesque?
So I believe that Paul is trying to push for one last try with Finn Balor. I think he truly is. Um, and it's a hard sell for him because obviously, like, he has the athleticism, he can talk, he has a gimmick in his back pocket that when you pull out, people will attend to see. He looks amazing. He can still work like a son of a bitch for his age. And Paul always like that was like, that was his unicorn that like he never got to take off on because he got hurt in that universal title match 10 years ago. I think he still wants to push for him to try to do something with him. Um, it feels like the way this is going is this is how you keep Sammy and KO busy. This is how you keep Randy and Cody busy without having them near the title. So then you have Finn, you have Gunther, you have Carmelo, you have LA Knight, you have Solo, and possibly one more all in the Money in the Bank match. And the Money in the Bank match happens, and that's where everyone's wondering, what's going to happen. Everyone's pushing for something big. That's when LA Knight turns on Solo and goes full heel. That's when Finn Balor possibly finds a way and ekes by Gunther and gets that briefcase, because I don't see Gunther winning the briefcase because it just feels like it's like Gunther's not the his character isn't the type to, do the run in and do the cash in when a guy is down. Like, as much as like he loves like humiliating people, his character wouldn't do that.
I'm going to
Uh
correct you just quickly.
yeah,
Can't be LA Knight because he has a world
right.
title shot
Yeah,
against Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank.
he does.
Yes.
When was that announced?
That was announced a while ago. We just forgot about it because of everything else that's been going on.
I don't recall that being announced.
It's been announced. Again, they just throw a bunch of stuff out and like, oh yeah, by the way, we also have this Mexico thing. We'll get to that in a bit.
I remember the Mexico thing. I don't remember LA Knight getting a title shot.
Yes, he's getting a title shot. But again, that's a whole different story, different day. So that's how you do it. What will they do? Because again, it's as you said, it's a hard sell for Finn Balor.
It is,
And
but
Gunther is the baby. That is Triple H's son from a different mother that he somehow used some DNA to put in there. I don't know how, but that is the son he's always wanted. So he can't have Gunther job again or Gunther go down to the mid card. So how do they Garfunkel this whole thing, which seems like, all right, what are we gonna do? Oh, 5-way, yay!
it just feels like they don't want to do a multi, like, the thing is, you can't do a multi-man so close to Money in the Bank, because then that just leaves the door open for ridiculous fuckery where you have a 3-way or a 4-way, and then all of a sudden it becomes a 5-way because the guy with the briefcase comes running in, and it's so
Or 6-way.
it makes a whole, or make it a 6-way or a 7-way. Like, it makes it a whole bunch of convoluted nonsense. And I'm not sure what the here's the problem, because like they very well could do a multi-man something or other at Survivor Series, but the problem is they were already planning on doing 2 War Games matches at Survivor Series, so they don't want to pack that with extra shit. So then the question is, where do you do it? Then it's just that they've painted themselves into this weird corner where Owens got cleared, so of course they want to bring him back right away because they know he's money and they know he's going to get the big pop. But now you've got him there, and they're just like, well, we don't know what to do with X, Y, and Z. And they want to, and they don't want to make waves because they want to hold anything that's going to be super exciting in their back pocket for when they absolutely need it come spring of 2027. So you're in a weird no man's land situation right here. It's, it's the trolley situation. It's, do you hit one or hit all? Like, it's ridiculous.
All right. So speaking of no man's land, well, we thought we knew what we were getting, and then it just seems like WWE called an audible, which I'm all for, but we'll get to this audible. So, all right, Jacob Fatu takes out the man, basically takes out this guy here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to him in a second. You got OTM getting brought in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we now have three groups that it's almost like seems like back in the day of DOA versus Los Barriquas versus the Nation of Domination. How did this come about? Like, JJ, how did this whole group, come basically get to this point? Because a week and a half ago, one of OTM was in Mexico, a part of Los Perros del Mal. Another one was NXT, and yeah, what the hell happened here?
So my guess is Trips called an audible, or Bruce Pritchard called an audible and said, yeah, that big kid that you had, well, we need tag teams on Raw, and we need big guys, and we need heels. So I don't care what Taker's doing right now. I want that kid out because I want that kid on the main roster, and bring up his tag partner, because that was the thing, was they were still kind of tagging in NXT, but the whole thing was like Lucian was just like, where you been? Like, it was very convoluted, because it's, unfortunately, when you're doing these talent exchanges between AAA and NXT, or AAA and the main roster or whatever, like, AAA is the low man on the totem pole, and Ray, Taker, and Borash got to work with what they get. So obviously,
we gotta. Speaking of audible, we're calling audible right now. We have our own audible, a man who's going to help back you up, because JJ, I know you sometimes look at me and go, I can't deal with your takes, Chris.
Oh,
so
my
this man is
God.
going to help us out. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I give you, you know him from the Kevin Apollo show and Lauren. I give you, from Toontown Wrestling, I give you,
My man, Chris. Did Chris mute us? Did you mute Chris?
I don't know what happened. I think he muted himself. I think he knocked out his mic when he was doing shit.
Sorry, I was changing your name. My apologies, Kevin. So, all right, you're the adult here, because I'm going. This is our Garfunkel. JJ's like, yes, this is the plan. He's also explaining, well, they called an audible. He's giving, I guess, blame to Bruce Pritchard. We're not sure. So we got Royce Keys, I guess, is now a baddie with OTM. I guess the Bloodline is tweeners, and Solo and LA Knight are babyface tweeners. Kevin, make sense of this, because I'm getting lost. I'm like, I need an edible.
I told you what was going to happen months ago. You just don't want to hear me.
Yeah, but now you're saying, no, they called an audible, which means you're giving credit to Bruce Pritchard, who you keep saying Bruce Pritchard's an idiot. So this makes no sense, JJ. Kevin, save us.
Well, so it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, like, what's happening with WWE, right? I think people keep saying they don't have any stars, and I want to say, like, I understand what they're saying, but I don't think it's 100% correct. Right now, with the exception of Roman, they don't have any superstars. The WWE is mainstream, which means everybody is, in their traditional sense, everybody is over, right? Like, it's just, they just are. They managed to break through the ceiling, and they are a mainstream, pop culture product. But because of that, you don't have anybody who is an Austin, a Rock, a Cena. There's no one who can remotely touch Roman. The guy just has a different kind of aura, as the kids would say. I think that mm, it might be controversial, but I think LA Knight is the closest that you're gonna get to like a traditional like superstar attitude. And a lot of that, I think it's all in the presentation. Triple H, Triple H does not have that flair for the dramatic or pageantry that Vince McMahon has. But he also has a better understanding of the algorithm. And I think a product like the shows aren't bad, they're just not exciting. But when you watch the recaps on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, it sounds like it's a freaking it's a madhouse,
It's all
right?
moments.
Yeah. So everything is just boiled down to the short attention span theater, and there is a divide in how older fans and younger fans consume the product, but they figured out how to get the product out there. Where I think you see the most opportunities is someone like Solo, right? Like Solo as a monster heel, Solo was crazy over, right?
Hmm.
And then he started seeing his personality, and then they didn't quite know what to do with him or really showcase it. But like, he still grabbed attention, and now you're seeing like his actual personality, and he's starting to shine. The and But you take someone like Royce Keys, and listen, under Vince, Royce would have been this unstoppable,
Yeah.
man demon creature,
Yeah.
and he probably wouldn't have said 3 words until his 7th month on TV,
Hmm.
and he would have just been stacking bodies. The Triple H era, it's a little different. I feel like they just don't quite know what to do with him because he has natural. Listen, when he talks, he has natural babyface charisma, but he looks like a freaking murderer. And sometimes you need to create a moment where you can do something a little different character. So when he gets taken out by Jacob, we needed to get Jacob out of that will he won't he turn on Roman category so that you can get behind the story. Sacrifices had to be made, but this guy has too much upswing slash. He's still young enough that you can do what you want with him,
Right.
but you had to do something now before he winds up in the he wants to be well. What's before he winds up like Mello, right? Like Mello's got all the talent in the world, but if Mello never appeared on TV again, who's going to care? The so the but the, they also need tag teams, like they need teams.
That's what I was saying.
So it's like you're in this weird spot where like the old rules still apply. Like if you don't know what to do with your wrestlers, especially if you have a bunch of mid card guys and you just don't know what to do with them, you throw them in a group, you throw them in a tag team, and hope that maybe together you can get some momentum. Because at the end of the day, 90% of tag teams exist. Like it's a vet on the way down and a rookie on the
Rookie
way
on the
up,
way up. Yep.
and the vet's got to teach the rookie. And
Hmm.
all tag teams are designed to break up, right? It's what made the Midnights and even the Dudleys so special,
Hmm.
that they didn't break up. And when you did do the breakup storylines, no one believed it anyway.
Right.
The So like right now, you needed to reintroduce everybody to Royce Keys so that he could be the killer that he looks like. Like I'll use Keith Lee as a perfect example. Keith Lee was a big dude who, he won nose to nose with Brock. He beat up Randy Orton. His punches looked like shit, and
Hmm.
he was too obsessed with doing flippy dippy nonsense.
Hmm.
And then the boss names you after his favorite wrestler, and you whine about it, and nobody knows your name now. When all he had to do was embrace just being a big guy and start wrestling like a big guy, and Keith Lee probably would have been a 3-time champion by now.
Probably.
If not more. The Keith Lee would have definitely would have at least fought Roman on a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, right? Like it's just there's just
Yeah.
so now they did what they had to do to kind of preserve it, but now we're also stuck in this weird space of, because everything is about the algorithm and they're not chasing like it's not like, hey, the pay-per-view is this Sunday and everything that happened in this pay-per-view was to get you to watch on Monday, and whatever thing that happened on this Monday is about getting you to, the final 15 minutes of the overrun, and then making sure you tune in next week. Storylines now play out, over the course of weeks, sometimes months, but
Right.
they may not get followed up on right away.
Yeah.
So like but as long as it trends on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, it stays alive. Or even what's a Snapchat. It all stays alive, just not in the way we're used to it. So like I think the bloodline is in a place where it's situational management, right? Like when you go back to the week before, when Roman's dogging out Solo, Roman was very much so babyface until he got on Solo's case. Roman was still very much so a tweener until he told Solo to spike LA Knight.
Yeah.
And then once they start beating everybody up, then Roman's getting booed. You roll into the next week and people like to cheer for the Usos because they like the music. They like the warning shot bit, but they're having more fun with Solo.
Right.
The so it's
This is the question that came into my mind here when they did this. How much is it also like they don't want to? Because when I saw this, like, okay, Jacob's, it's gonna be Jacob, Solo, LA Knight, and Royce Keys versus
No.
Usos, Roman, and now Zilla Fatu. It just feels like
No.
we don't want Zilla getting just like go away heat because Nepo baby. So hey, let's just turn Royce, who we've been doing the whole bit of hey, I lost friends, my brother to the streets, my grandmother and I bonded over pro wrestling. I mean, he goes on a Stephanie podcast. They've made him this big, lovable baby face. Now, so within a week, it's like, nope, we're audible. OTM, we had you separate. Now we're bringing you up with Royce Keys, your big villains. We don't want to lose the merch. Hey, this is just like, it's safe in terms of like taking a risk or really maybe throwing a kid in the deep end like a Zilla Fatu and going, oh crap, fans are turned on because it's Nepo baby all over again. Right or wrong?
So this is the situation that I was trying to tell you that I still think is going to play out. And this is where I think the audible is called. Because I'm telling you right now that you're getting a babyface bloodline in War Games, whether you like it or not. And it's all the little things in between that people haven't been paying attention to. What the audible was called was, it was most likely, and I was saying it, heel LA Knight, probably Drew, heel Solo, and a heel tag team. Well, Solo apparently got super over doing his comedy shtick, so they realized that that's not going to work. So here we go. We got Royce, we got OTM. You're going to get an LA Knight heel turn. That's 4. And you'll probably have Drew come back for the 5. And those are the 5 heels that are going to be the coalition to end the bloodline. And in the process, Solo's probably going to end up coming back to the family because he just got knocked the fuck out. And the family is still there and still willing to help him if he wants to fall in line. That's the whole dynamic. It's the little things in between that because people are only living in the here and now, that they're not looking at the story that's been building all around them.
Kevin, your thoughts on that?
I can see it going that way, but I think they also realize that with LA Knight, they're in the I can think of a more delicate way to put it, but they're in the shit or get off the pot moment with LA Knight. And although you don't have to do this match right away, like I really don't think that this match needs to happen until Survivor Series or even until the Rumble. But you have to do this match, and you have to give LA Knight his moment in the sun. LA Knight, like LA Knight is like you're kind of like your modern day Corbin, where like the guy catches fire, and then someone immediately runs up and throws water on it. But LA Knight has been able to kind of not lose that heat. The guy just doesn't matter if you take him off TV for a few months. It doesn't matter how many. Like LA Knight has been feuding with 2 factions at the exact same time for the better part of 3 years. He's been feuding with the Bloodline, with the MFTs, with
the Vision.
Yeah. I think at one point that he was feuding with 3 different factions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to do something because you also need to. You got to create that space for someone else to punch through because right now Roman doesn't have anybody to fight.
Right.
And on the other side, on the other side of the roster, on the SmackDown side, I've said this 1,000 times. It's like about this era in general. This era this era is everything great about the new gen, but we got to be honest about the new gen. Like, yeah, there were cool characters that we enjoyed, but they weren't making the money that they wanted to be making during the golden, Hogan Savage era.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those. It wasn't until those guys were old enough in the Attitude Era to know how to make the money, but you still needed a catalyst.
Right.
You needed that Stone Cold to pull you over to the other side. Cody to me is the equivalent of Bret Hart. Bret paid all of your bills. Bret was insanely popular. But Bret was only as interesting as the bad guy you threw in front of him.
Thank you.
And Cody, unlike Bret, Cody's very polished, but Cody comes off a little condescending.
Mm-hmm.
He comes off a little pompous. There's a lot of ego there. Especially if you're a little bit older, right? If you're a little bit older, so you realize like when he was bitching out Nick Aldis every 5 minutes, and you're like, well, Nick Aldis is the biggest person on the roster. Why hasn't he lumped you up yet?
Chris, did we not have this conversation?
We had that conversation, and I'm guessing they're going to bring Nick Aldis back because
you have to,
as you said, Kevin, he's bigger for most of the roster.
So it's like right now there are no. At some point in time, you're going to need someone who breaks out, who can be your media darling. And listen, and again, it's not to take away from Cody, right? Cody is extremely popular. It's extremely popular. All right. Cody is one of the top selling athletes in the country across all sports. Right? Like if you break it down, you look at those Fanatics numbers, and Cody has been in the top 10, if not top 5, since before WrestleMania 40. So Cody is legit. But in terms of generating mega excitement, you have to create an opportunity for someone. So, and right now the best person who is LA Knight. It's just got to be. So you have to build that box office. With Roman, all roads lead to Obafemi, but Obafemi is not in that Brock Lesnar status yet, as much as they want to keep saying that he is.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of status, that goes us to this weekend's NXT Heat Wave. And I'm going to ask both of you guys, because I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, it starts at 3 o'clock. We've got a women's unification match between Ren Sinclair, Callie Armstrong, Zarya. The big one, though, is it's current champion versus TNA
Mini Braun Strowman
versus Zilla Fatu, the new prize signing, and Grayson Waller. So what do you do? I mean, because again, you can tell there's probably one camp go, hey, we really want to put the belt on Zilla. He is that young sensation who he's farther along than Braun was at this age, than Oba was at this age, probably even Roman at this age. There's a lot of people going, hey, we invested a lot in Mike Santana. It's time for him to see if he can be WWE material or not. This is the last chance for Grayson Waller, but yet Tony D'Angelo is the one guy who's held down the fort since they literally just brought up everybody and left him the guy holding the bag. So we'll go with you, JJ, then you, Kevin. What do you think they'll do, and what should they do?
So my original thought before the stuff that happened with Royce and OTM was that they would have put the belt on Zilla, so that way he could run roughshod for a couple of months and they could bring him up as a special surprise during War Games as a family member with the NXT title around his waist. I don't think that's going to happen now. I think Zilla's going to remain super over in NXT, but now they've got the time to keep him down there and polish him without slapping the belt right on him. I think the smartest move is to put it on Mike Santana because uh, uh Tony D'Angelo, I don't understand how he still has a job. I don't get it. It's like it should be shown that like you've been in developmental for almost 7 years. Like there's a problem there that nothing's going to solve. So get the damn belt off him because that was the worst decision they made this year. They just did it because they knew he wasn't going anywhere. It was literally the Vern Gagne move. And Waller, like he's on his last legs. Like, great, you can talk shit, but you're getting over in front of the same 200 people in the PC that are always there. You try that shtick up in fucking Madison Square Garden, no one's gonna fucking care. So I say put the belt on Mike Santana and just let him and Zilla fucking feud for the next few months. Make Tony D'Angelo go away. And Grayson Waller can do jobs for the kids down there.
Our takes differ a little bit. No, but just
That's
a
what
little
brought
bit.
you on, Kevin, because Jay just looking at me going, if you say one more nice thing about Tony, I will slap you.
Well, so with Zilla, right? Don't put that belt on him. But Zilla should be kicking ass.
Oh yeah.
I mean, kicking everyone's ass for like I think he will be more interesting if he is just running roughshod over people and being a problem, but not going after the belt. Like I think really like if they can if if they can hold on and be patient and just let this dude be a menace and put that belt on him this time next year, you have a bona fide star when it's time for him to go up. Because
1000%.
right now NXT is boring. It's boring. And it looks too much like your neighborhood indie. The like and I get it, like the whole appeal of NXT was that it was a super indie. But like now it just feels like you're watching an indie with great TV production.
Yeah.
Grayson Waller, he went back down there because he needed to be kind of reborn again. I think he does a great promo. He is a hell of an athlete, but they just don't know what to do with him. And it's a crime to waste talent. So at least let him, like, because again, he's still young. You can at least let him go down there and restore some luster and maybe try it again. Tony D'Angelo, I don't know how I feel about Tony D'Angelo. I'm like you said, like it's been 7 freaking years. Like to me, you're almost in the same boat as you were with Chase U. I'm
Right.
like what the hell? Why why is this still going on? And they eventually pulled the plug on Chase U. The
Why
like he there's that there's ability there, but it's you've got to find a way to showcase because once you pull him up, unless you are I don't think the mafia thing, I don't think that kind of storyline translates well on the main roster.
That was an 80s indie gimmick.
Yeah. So like unless you're gonna do like they like when they redid the like when I always thought like when SmackDown was in its United Nations era, you had the Mexicans with the Mexicans, you had the Japanese,
Yeah.
you had the Yakuza, you had the cartels, you had the like you had the FBI like that, but like that was a very unique moment in time. So unless you're gonna kind of redo the FBI, but without the family nonsense, because it's gonna infringe a little too much on what the bloodline has going on, right? Roman's anointing captains. It's
Right.
just like it's just a little too much. Like, but what do you do with him? Like, what do you do with him? The like I don't where do you go from like and also he looks more like a Russian assassin than he
Right.
looks like a guy named like a guy named D'Angelo.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we gonna do? But yes, he's got to at some point you got to bring him up and just do something and let him. You got to just it's sink or swim time. But yeah, I do think the belt should be on Santana. Santana's got the most experience.
Hmm.
Fine, it's not WWE expert, but Santana's got big crowd live TV experience.
Hmm.
He probably has the most versatility because he
Hmm.
can work any style. He and and he brings fresh new energy to the show that hasn't been there. And again, he just needs a little exposure to the WWE system because I think that once he goes up, he should be a call up that should kind of slide right into place
Yeah.
and give you something fresh because right now both shows are a little stale because there aren't that many characters or there's too much overlap with characters.
Right.
So I'm hoping we come out of heat with Santana as champ. You keep letting Grayson Waller like kind of find himself a little bit, but eventually he's got to go back up. And Zilla should just be whooping people's asses until you have an inevitable confrontation between your chief babyface or chief heel, whatever it's going to be next year,
Hmm.
because people are going to cheer for him.
Yep.
Let him be a badass heel who gets over because he's kicked so much ass.
Right.
And then pull him up and let him hang out with his cousins on special moments. And then when he's ready, then bring him up and let him be on the roster. But don't do it now. Like they've got to
Right.
resist the temptation. And
Right.
I'll be honest too. I'm sick and tired of war games at Survivor Series. Let Survivor Series be Survivor Series.
Well,
It
yeah.
was it was nice when War Games was kind of its own special thing. Well, but it's like I if you're not going to start doing different things with War Games, then stop doing it.
Yep.
Because like I'm not really looking unless you do something radically different with the Bloodline. I do not want to see the Bloodline in the War Games cage again.
Yeah.
Is Shawn Michaels to blame for a lot of this in terms of the heat wave and the men's? Because we've heard when Grayson Waller cut his promo, he said, "Oh yeah, but the men aren't getting it. There's only 10% of the rosters ready to go up, and that's all the women." I know. JJ mentions like, "Oh, why is Tony D'Angelo there?" I could say the same thing about Josh Briggs. Why is Josh Briggs still there when he's
Because
been there
Sean hates
forever?
guys from New England. That's why. We've been over this.
I know. You trust me. JJ. We've been over your. We need to fire Shawn Michaels tomorrow stat, but
Dude,
But
the problem with NXT is you drop a fucking needle and it's a women's match or segment on it. Any part during the show.
I know. JJ trust me. I know that Sean's gotten your letter say just resign, motherfucker. He's denied the, but I know you're pushing it. Kevin, you're gonna be like the one who's like, okay, we need to put the referee here. So is Sean the problem? Is it Triple H? Is it corporate? Like
I
again,
think
why are so many people there when it's like, all right, either move them to TNA, move them to NWA, or figure out what you're gonna do in the main roster and move some main roster people because
well,
again, D'Angelo, Grayson Waller, Jasper Troy. You can argue, Josh
Jasper still needs a lot of
Briggs.
work.
They're all still there. It's like, okay, what are we gonna do?
so this is pretty layered, right? So one, yes, the hatred of Northeast wrestlers is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yes.
The the that said, a lot of times the hate on Northeast wrestlers are the direct result of Northeast wrestler behavior.
Okay, you get yeah. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
It just we all have that stink until we can prove otherwise. The
Yep.
but I think some of this is a lot of the men don't get as much love as the women right now
Right.
because the men aren't working as hard as the women. Sorry, it's just true. The women, even though the women have proven to be a little bit better, a little more entertaining, a little bit more willing to go at it. They're like they are the rabid dogs fighting over that bone, and the men are just kind of like there. But a lot of the younger men are very inexperienced and are still learning, so you can't really hold them under the same kind of microscope. Like there's a lot of conversations that we should be having about people next year. But then there's that group of guys that has been around for a minute that should be doing a hell of a lot better. And I think, it's TKO does not like cutting people because it doesn't look good to shareholders. We're back in that weird space where after the network dropped,
Hmm.
and like it was a multi-billion dollar enterprise, not just a billion dollar enterprise.
Yeah.
And we had that 10-year stretch where no one got released until COVID.
Yeah.
And that was because mass releases looked terrible to shareholders. So everything needed to be super duper stable. The but the So now they're not doing house shows, right? House shows are essential. You learn by doing. You master your craft by doing. Just showing up and doing stuff on TV, you're just not going to learn.
Right.
You're not going to learn, And
And I
I
mean,
learned that lesson super early. Like
right.
shout out to Gino Caruso being on having his school on Chris Van Vliet this week. The
Nice.
But like when you start training, because Gino used to have legit TV back in the day, even when he
Hmm.
worked with the Savaldis. And the first thing is Gino teaches you how to work a TV style, how
Yep.
to conduct yourself in a TV locker room.
Yep.
But he also tells you, hey, like if you're only going to show up and be one of these guys who's going to wrestle once a month, you're going to stay the shits. You're never going to
Right.
grow. And house shows are essential. Like you like again like Dominic, right? Like take someone like Dominic. Dominic was learning on the road. Dominic was a house show baby. Dominic grew because you had not just a live crowd, but different kinds of live crowds. Because what's over, what's over in Missouri is not what's going to be over in California. What's over in California is going to be over in New York, New Mexico, whatever. So it's different crowds, different tastes, with different expectations. They're hungry for the product, but they want to see certain things. So you need that live reaction, and know how to learn how to study and feel the crowd. But without that, you're kind of stuck. So like yes, you're fine. That's why they got the rash WWE guys down in AAA, and they throw a few people over to Noah, and the TNA experiment was working really well, but that still doesn't make it for lack of house shows.
Yeah. I mean,
So a lot of
NXT's been doing a couple of house shows lately. You just never hear about them. They just did one in Poughkeepsie like a week ago.
Mhm. No, listen,
Well,
and
again,
NXT used
still,
to
there's
do.
more NXT and
They,
Evolve kids. So again, it's like,
Right.
does there need to be a conversation where like we need to put on a hiring freeze? We have too many people. We're not releasing people, so it's everybody's getting bottlenecked to the point where it's like, okay, we're now
Mhm.
NXT, which is supposed to be development's now a third brand, but we still people can't get on TV enough, and we can't do house shows enough because we don't have enough
Well,
people. So again, should there be like this
well,
conversation of we really need to like figure out like who's long term, who's not. We need to move on people. We need to have a hiring freeze so we're not just regurgitating like,
mhm.
oh, we brought in 30 people, we're losing 20 people. We still have 10 more people we can't get rid of because reasons.
So some of the problem though is that they are also trying to rehabilitate the indies,
Right.
because once you got, I want to say like everything kind of went off the rails around 2008, and you had too many guys who had no fucking business
Uh-huh.
even saying hello to you.
Hmm.
Now opening up schools, and like,
Hmm.
and it wasn't even the blind leading the blind. It was the retarded paraplegic telling you how to do a hip toss, and the guy can't even tie his fucking shoes. And now he's an expert because he happens to know someone whose mommy's willing to write a check and will book all these legends so they can take pictures. and
Hmm.
and 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 now they do shows so the friends can get bookings. And it's like, and now I'm a media darling because I got a random job in AEW, even though I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. And now it's like you have all these fucking schools,
Uh-huh.
with guys with just they don't have the most essential of fundamentals. They have shit attitudes. They want big money. even though they didn't do anything to help, and they're actually a detriment to your shows now. So like, yes, so they're signing a lot of people and they're holding on to a lot of people, fully aware that more than half of these people are never going to make it to TV.
Yeah.
Because once they release them and they go back into the wild, they're assuming that half that's not going to make it, at least 30% of them will go back into the indies.
Right.
And they're hoping that that 30% will be enough that at least now, like it's in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yep.
They're trying to fill the indies back with at least enough one-eyed men that because if they teach what they learned there poorly, it's still better than what they're getting right now. So like a couple months ago we were laughing because Parker Bordeaux was in my DMs trying to get me to book him for shit
Seminars.
Yeah, for seminars and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? The I would book Parker Bordeaux can tell you more about how to put a match together. And I don't say this as any disrespect, 'cause I enjoy him as a human being, than Sonny Kiss. And or someone from the AEW who
Yeah.
was there for a few years who didn't do anything. But like because Parker Bordeaux sat in the room with Regal and HBK and Road Dogg and got firsthand knowledge. And unlike the AEW guys, where we've gotten countless reports of telling Jerry Lynn what's he ever done, or ignoring like Billy, ignoring people like Malenko and Billy Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys and now you're marking out on a show that no one fucking watches. So it's like, yeah, like they sign all these guys because there's a little bit of method to the madness. Some of it is also TKO doesn't want a bunch of people getting doesn't want a bunch of people washing in back and forth. But then also too, this is a content era. Like again, like what are people confuse Triple H's title often. Triple H is not the chief creative officer.
He's the chief content
He's the
officer.
content officer, right? So his job is to create content. So Evolve and LFG and Speed and I love the Speed is a concept that I've been pushing forever. I was like, indie shows should just be doing things that are for Twitter that are only a few minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like so it's like like they need people who can just jam out content. And sometimes you're either going to be good enough that you can do it or you can not. And if you really fuck it up, those are the guys who silently go away.
Mm-hmm.
But look at how many of the what was it of the collegiate athletes who get signed who try to gut it out for a year or two, and they just quietly walk away because it's not
The
for them.
NILs, yeah.
Yep. So it's like they have a good. They're doing what they can to try to preserve the future. Because right now, wrestling, I don't care what anybody says, the wrestling business is not doing well.
I agree.
The WWE is doing well. Wrestling as a whole is not doing well,
I agree.
and it's because the indies are so toxic and incompetent right now. But also so in love with the smell of their own farts that that you get that you're getting the bullshit that you're getting. And it's like, listen, you look at TNA and AEW, right? Like TNA gets this TV deal and the booking is not fantastic. It's just not. It's got slightly better production value, but now that they're not, now that they don't have the WWE kind of walking them from one side of the room to the other, you've noticed that there's a slight slip, in the value of the show. But there's also nothing that really makes the show urgent to watch. You get some fun moments, but I can also not watch TNA for 2 months, jump in and be like, well, it's like I just watched it yesterday.
Right.
AEW, what is there even left to say about AEW?
Well, that leads us to our next topic because there is
Oh,
lots to say
boy.
because you guys are going to be not happy about this. We're getting AEW All In at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, Kevin, I know I tried to say live chat. You're like, I got to wash my hair.
I ain't watching that shit.
JJ just basically said, I got to do something. I'm not. Make up an
I'm
excuse.
busy on Sunday afternoons. Sorry. I always am busy on Sunday afternoons.
So let's go over this here, because as of now, we've got 8 matches. As of now.
That's
That's
a
going
right.
to
As of
change.
now.
So we've got this Osprey Omega. We've got the AEW Continental Challenge Cup Final, which will be Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness for reasons. We've got the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks versus Cage and Cope. The Women's Dominion, Divine Dominion versus Brawling Birds. Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the TNT Championship. Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné for the World Championship. And the AEW Intercontinental Championship. Okada versus Kyle Fletcher versus Konosuke Takashita. And, oh, by the way, we'll probably have a trios title there. And another
That'll
match.
be on the pre-show.
As of now, they could add this. I mean, so we might have like 12 matches here starting at 11:30 in the morning. How long is this going to go, Kevin? And will you care, or are you just going to look at this card and go, I'd rather polish my doorknobs than watch this crap?
Well, so look, there'll be some matches on this show, right, that are going to be fine wrestling matches. Will anything remotely close to memorable happen? No. No. The has anything that I've said on this show over the last 2 years been proven wrong, or have we seen anything change? No. No. The but are we in the apathy phase of people talking about AEW? Yes. Yes. It's like, all right, so let's look. So yeah, Edge and Christian versus the Bucks. Okay, cool. We already know what we're gonna get out of it. It's just gonna be it's gonna be two old guys who can't do who are gonna do some cool stuff, but they're also gonna try to wrestle at the level as the not as old as the old guys are going to do. And you're gonna watch the not as old as the old guys do shit that it really looks ugly and that they should know better. And then when it all devolves down into something that that guys who are 20 years younger than them are currently doing, we're gonna pretend like it was the greatest thing ever because everybody's gonna start doing a bunch of super kicks. Okay, whatever. Who cares? Um, the women's tag team the women's tag team title match. Cool. The women will beat each other up, but they're not nearly as polished as they should be for people who are going to be on pay-per-view. The Mercedes, um, they were really praying that Bailey was going to waste her time and go there, and it just didn't work out that way. So we already know what this match is going to be. Darby, all right, everything not entertaining about Mick Foley wrapped up in someone's lesbian aunt. The okay, and Kevin Knight is young and athletic, but cuts a very boring promo. Not even a bad promo; it's just boring. It's just he hasn't anything remotely entertaining at all. I don't know why this match needs to be a false count anywhere. Well, just so
Reasons.
Darby, yeah, there's reasons so Darby can do a bunch of shit instead of letting them just tell the story in the middle of the ring and do a bunch of cool shit in the ring. Um, is Osprey still hanging out with the Death Riders for reasons?
Nope. That's
nope,
done.
They broke up. It was
Okay.
The bromance is over.
Oh,
And now
Double
Kenny's a
Vegas-
heel because reasons.
oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay, whatever. The so two guys who can't cut promos, and we're just gonna do a bunch of shit for 30 minutes. It's gonna be 87 things kicked out of, and we're gonna pretend like it's the greatest thing ever. But when we go to talk about this match in 2 months, no one's gonna even remember seeing it. And then there's MJF and what's his name?
Andrade.
Andrade.
Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
Andrade,
Kevin,
thank you.
there's a bunch of, I guess, according to Baghdad Bob, aka Dave Meltzer, and AEW Wrestling Observer newsletter, a bunch of higher profile AEW wrestlers do not want to go in the Casino Gauntlet match for reasons.
Yeah,
Probably
sure.
because they think this is a stupid match. We don't want to be part of it. But hey,
It's always been a stupid match.
Yeah, that's it. It's always been a stupid match, and nothing comes out of it. And like at some point in time, it's like you just gotta. It, AEW could just be so much better if they would stop trying to pack 100 pounds of shit into the 10-pound bag.
Mm-hmm.
If they just stuck to jamming 15 pounds of shit into the bag, it would be fine. Like okay, cool. It would be cool. It's like, listen, I'll put it like this. Everything about AEW is everything terrible about the Vince Russo, Kevin Sullivan fighting for control of the book era of WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is the weak. Every episode is like watching an episode of Nitro when the Black and Silver NWO debuted.
Mm-hmm.
Not the awesome week after when Scott Steiner cut the incredible "We're not going to let anything he's saying air on live television," while Shivani gasps in horror. But that particular episode was just there's a million things happening and none of this shit makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is Piper heel? Why is he even out there? What is even going on? The I you know the it's just a train wreck, and with acting that isn't even amateur porn level of quality. So like it's just I don't know. It's just I don't. It's just the same shit, and you just want them to get better. Like I don't want to have to complain about AEW anymore. But even like the best thing and the worst thing that happened to AEW right now is that Busted Open became fucking WB radio,
Mm-hmm.
and that no one talks about AEW
Mm-hmm.
because now at least it's created an environment where if an AEW fan wants to not be mentally ill and just wants to cover the show like a reporter, they'll probably get a shit ton of views and traffic because no one talks about this show at all anyway because it's culturally irrelevant isn't even the appropriate word because irrelevant means that there was relevance at some point in time. This show is the equivalent of a bunch of Haitians screaming on public access TV at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's all. No one's watching it.
Right?
All right, so I'll start with you, JJ. Which match on this card are you looking going? This is going to be like the epitome of it. Will it be Takeshita, Fletcher, and Okada going 30 minutes where you would be screaming, "Just get to the effing point," even though you bet it would only go 25? Will it be Mercedes using creative control? Will it be MJF winning it? Moxley again with Death Riders, never-ending story, just winning the Cup final, or do we even have okay, it's gonna be Cage and Cope, Young Bucks, and hey, then those wild and crazy, not the New Day, but a brand day guys coming in to then confront them. Like, which one are you picking? Going, this is gonna just be like the epitome of this whole cluster bunk, which is AEW.
It's all going to be terrible, and I'm going to run through why everything's going to be terrible. The only compliment I will give this show is that women's tag team title match is the only program that has been played out via vignettes where they haven't touched each other or been in the same place with each other. I will give them that inkling positivity. The fact that the Divine Dominion just doing vignettes, talking shit about the Brawling Birds every week without them touching, and now there's the title match. Okay, fine. You did something right for once. Besides that, Continental Cup was apparently this is the replacement for the Continental Classic because no one gave a fuck about the Team G1 that Tony was doing. So who cares? If I don't care if Moxley wins or loses it because we'll get to why later. The Casino Gauntlet is going to be crap. It's going to be here. We're going to debut indie darlings or like random ass names that no one's going to remember during it. And MJF wins lol. The tag team title match, the Bucks are going to win lol. And then the Motor City Machine Guns are going to pop up over here and be like, hey, We haven't been on TV since you signed us, blah, blah, blah. And then the lights are going to go out, and then you're going to see some stupid fucking anime nonsense fuckery on the screen, and out come the Unicorn Boys, be like, we're here now. And probably one more random ass tag team for the fuck of it to set up some stupid ass ladder match at the next pay-per-view with all 4 teams. Darby and Kevin Knight, this is the result of Kevin Knight when he turned heel on Darby, which is what, 6 fucking months ago, and then they just forgot about it because Kevin Knight went and did a bunch of other shit, and now Darby's getting a TNT title shot, and he almost got blown up by fireworks, even though he didn't, because we all saw that shit coming because he was wearing a fucking fireman's trench coat. Give me a break. Talk about telegraphing the whole fucking segment. And yeah, Darby's gonna win because that dude, fucking Tony loves Darby for some reason. Darby, so yeah, sure, give him the title again. Friggin' Takeshita and Fletcher will go 45 fucking minutes, and who cares who wins because it's not even the tertiary title, it's not the quaternary title, it's like the fucking 5th down the line. Nobody cares. Mercedes wins, lol, because that's why Willow won, because Mercedes didn't want to work against Tekla. She wanted someone familiar, so there. And then the title match, and I told you all it was going to happen, and you don't want to believe me. MJF's going to try to cash in this stupid fucking gauntlet match to try to make it a multi-man, and then they're going to try to recreate WrestleMania 40. So MJF's going to try to do some shit. Moxley's going to fucking come out. Fucking this person's going to come out. That person's going to come out. MJF's probably going to look like he's going to win, and Mick Foley's going to come out and kick him in the fucking balls, and then Osprey wins, lol. God save the queen. Giant Union Jack falls down. Fireworks. Yay. Nobody cares. And then the next Dynamite, MJF challenges fucking Mick Foley to a fucking death match. You're welcome.
That's probably 100% spot on.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll move on to the next subject because this also ties into this. Yes, Baghdad Bob, a.k.a. Dave Meltzer, is reporting that, hey, Ilja Dragunov will get a lucrative offer from AEW, which means, yeah, bitch, he's signing there. They're going to offer
Gauntlet
a
match.
big contract. JJ, I already know you're pissed. Kevin, you're probably going, why? So, all right, let's break it down. If it does happen, which it probably will, along with, of course, we're probably going to get, the New Day coming in there soon. We might get another couple WWE people, like formerly known as Santos Escobar, aka El Fantasma, will probably go there. Probably a couple other people, maybe Joseph Sawyer, because hey, Moxley wants him there. All right, are we close to 300 wrestlers yet in AEW? And will Ilja Dragunov possibly get crippled because nobody's going to tell him, please stop, go easy, don't do this crazy stunt? But 2 of you look so just like
I told you I like the kid, but he couldn't get over.
It's just another he hasn't really been over since NXT UK ended.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is because he's just another wrestler. And listen, and some of this is the fault of just Triple H's booking style. Like Triple H is a go up there and be a good wrestler. And that's never been what the WWE is. It's part of the problem now. The WWE is the entertainment company. It's now that we can openly discuss that Vince just fell prey to a greedy hoe. We can probably also consider Vince much better at creating characters. And when you take someone like Dragunov, what was his character? That he was from Russia and that he wrestled?
Right.
Okay. Once you get past that, oh, he's tough. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. There's lots of tough guys there. It's where do we go from here? He's not like he doesn't have movie star good looks. He doesn't have a super jacked he's super jacked, but he's not like Royce Keys super jacked. He's not Roman super jacked.
Right.
He's not an attraction because he's not a freak of nature. He's just another dude. And just another dude does not make money in the WWE. Doesn't matter how talented you are. The like you want to, like at least Sammy looks different.
Right.
Gosh, who else? Like there are some guys who you're like, well, this guy can't be in a bit, but like he looks different than what's on TV. Like
Hmm.
when you just kind of look like everybody else, you're no different than anybody else.
Hmm.
So like, yeah, cool. He can wrestle circles around people, but like again, if people wanted to watch really good wrestling matches, AEW would have 2 million people a week.
Right.
So what can I guess if let's say Ilya doesn't sign, like what can he do? Because you and I have talked about this, Kevin. Like, how do you teach charisma? How do you teach over
Yeah.
personality? Like, if you either have it or you don't. So for Dragunov, like, we want him to reinvent himself because everybody wants him back with WWE, but like, can he do that when that's not normal for him? Like, he is a guy who, as you said, he's Dean Malenko meets probably Dynamite Kid, but
Mhm.
without any of the personality or sex appeal.
Was it? You got to find the character. Like,
Yeah.
listen, even Dean Malenko found a character, right? When he became Double O Malenko, and he had the
Hmm.
Malenkos. It just happened on the syndicated shows, which I personally think they need back.
Yes.
Instead of doing this evolved bullshit, they should just bring back Sunday Night Heat
Yeah.
so that you get the other guys on TV. But I think it's like he's just got to find a character. He's just got to find a character,
Yeah.
and he's got to find something he can lean into. He's got to find some aspect of his personality that, well, I'll put it like this. Listen, we're in this weird space where Russia they're back to being the main heels. The You mean to tell me that they couldn't concoct a story where the Russian kid kicks the shit out of someone and just wants to claim an air of superiority
Right.
because he's Russian? Like that would have at least gotten you some mileage. And then while we're trying to fucking shove Chad Gable down your throat and make him the second coming of '90s Kurt Angle,
All
like
American boy. Like,
like like you got rid of the guy that the story would have written itself,
right.
and and the story would have been awesome. The but he's got. I would I would I would hope that he would go to TNA
Me too.
before he would go to AEW, because at
Yeah.
least in TNA he will be surrounded by people who are willing to experiment with character, but will still also embrace the I'm a wrestler thing. Whereas if he just goes to AEW, he's just another guy, and
Right.
you're only going to see him once every 6 months,
Hmm.
if you're lucky. And when he pops up, he's just going to lose to someone he shouldn't be losing to anyway.
Right. I think that if he doesn't end up going to TNA, and for some reason AEW doesn't offer him what he wants, and he stays in America, I think the best place for him, if he wants to try to develop any sort of character that you could possibly get out of him, is send him to MLW, package him as a heel, have him be, put him with Contra Unit, have him be the guy that, the new mastermind of Contra Unit with the Napoleon complex, kind of like Evil Spike Dudley was for a bit, and have him go after Cross for the title, and then they could have the knockdown, drag out, beat the shit out of each other feuds with Contra backing him as the evil Russian heel. That could work for him.
I was going to say NWA if he doesn't go to AEW or TNA because
Oh, that's still a thing.
That it's that it's
I
oh
know we make
no.
fun of it, but I mean, if you want somebody who's creative, Billy Corgan's creative. Yes, he's off the wall, and yes, he is, as JJ said, sort of a wrestling mark, but he takes risks. He'll do creative stuff.
Mhm.
You send Ilya to NWA and Mike Mondo will just eat him.
Hey, no slander on Mike Mondo.
No, I like Mike Mondo, but Mike will just eat him.
Well, you know what though? Yes, because Billy is. You would think that Billy is probably 10 years older than he is, because like I like when you look at you can tell what kind of company it is, usually based off of the kind of wrestling that promoters like.
Mm-hmm.
And all those guys who were young wrestlers in the '70s and '80s and '90s, they grew up on 70s wrestling. So what do? They book all their shows like it's 70s shows,
Yep.
and then recycle all the 70s stories. So like, oh yeah, and I wrestled for, I knew Dominic DeNucci. Okay, cool. Well, I was like, so finally, like, Billy Corgan, he could probably pull it off, and who knows, maybe Ilya becomes the second coming of Nikita, or Boris. But like, it's he just needs some kind of a character, something that he can do outside of the weird music thing that no one quite understood.
Right.
And just it's sometimes you just need something to talk about. And like who I'm trying to think of someone who just kind of accidentally crash landed into something that worked for them. I had it too. My brain just won't blank. But like sometimes like it's one of those like charisma, you can be taught how to cut a promo. Like the worst thing that you can do, or that you can be, especially in the indie level when you first break in, is a baby face. Because unless you have a character, like 9 times out of 10, you're just you. Which is why so many baby faces come out and go, "Come on!"
Hmm.
Because they legitimately have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I'm just me. Like this is my deal. And then usually like it's you there for 10 fucking years, and then like they kind of realize, oh, I want to try this. And then you just kind of fall into something, you know. And if it works, it works, The dude, and I love this guy to death. Look at a guy like Sean Donovan. The
Yeah.
you know, he when he broke in, he was just your run of the mill, good looking baby face. And then he just he is one of those guys who just stuck with it, and eventually shaves his head, and starts running around with Moff, and then
Hmm.
his career is very different than what
Yep.
it was in 2004. But like it is very hard to be a babyface character without a super gimmick,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's not a charisma. Like you could be one of the funniest people in the world, and like just when you're just being yourself. It's just if in terms of a character, if they don't have anything for you, and let's be real, right, like let's be real, there's probably only 9 or 10% of the wrestlers out there who are over and superstars did it on their own.
Hmm.
Everybody else is the product of a machine. Everybody else needs to be told, like you need to be told, hey, you need to care about this person, and this is why. Especially as a babyface, it's very easy to be a heel. Like I would, pull the curtain back a little bit.
Hmm.
The heel's responsibility is to teach the babyface how to listen to the crowd and how to make sure the match works. Right? I'm a
Hmm.
bad guy, so win, lose, or draw, my job is to make sure this babyface looks good.
Exactly.
So and part of that is my ability to make the crowd hate me. And the more they hate me, the easier it is for me to motherfuck this guy. And even if I'm gonna win, my job is to make sure that people want to see me get my comeuppance. Or that this baby face has nothing but sympathy, so that when he comes back next week or next month, they're hoping that he breaks his foot off in my ass because I screwed him, or I hurt him, or I insulted his honor. That's generally why your baby face, your heels are guys who've been around for a little bit, because they get to as baby face. It's just a special breed. Oh, again, look at John Cena, right? Like
Yeah.
Prototype probably would have been cool for a little bit, but then babyface John Cena in the boxers, that wasn't doing anything for any in the
The
bicycle, the
regional
bicycle.
gear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It wasn't until he threw on the jersey and started rapping that people started paying attention.
Right.
Like sometimes it's just a matter of you have to find a character, so and it's something that you can believe in, so that you can not take yourself so seriously and get comfortable in your skin. The and then have the wherewithal to realize that at some point in time you have to evolve, right? Because Stunning Steve was awesome, but Stunning Steve was never going to make Stone Cold money.
Right.
And Badass Austin also became a comedic genius, and then went back to being Badass Austin, and then went back to being a hybrid of the two.
Mm-hmm.
The how many versions we could probably do? We could probably do 3 shows and try to power rank all the Rock's different characters.
Right.
It's like you just like evolutions and is an essential aspect of the character development, but again, as a babyface, you need that time to kind of go out there. And for some guys put all this emphasis on being a really good wrestler. And like, no, like you just got to be a good worker. You got to be a good storyteller.
Right.
Because you're gonna learn how to have the character, and you're gonna learn how to engage. And a lot of it's just because it becomes about being comfortable in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
That leads us to TNA Lockdown, which me and JJ disagreed. I thought it was a great event. He was like, I'll say this, because Kevin, you have sung the praises of Delirious for a while. He's taken over. This pay-per-view scene flowed. They got a lot of the younger kids in. We've seen M by Elegance and H by Elegance sort of become the focal points, less of Ash. We saw young talents like Ricky Sosa, Casey Navarro get their shine. We saw, of course, Zaya Brookside and Elena Black. Yes, JJ, I know you have lots to say about her. She's DMing, said, hey,
Rizzy!
But yes, this pay-per-view, at least it seems like TNA went, okay, we understood, we did a reset, we're pushing the other talent, different things. Like, should this give people hope that, all right, yes, Dreamer sort of had his ways, but he's gone. Delirious is in charge. We're pushing the younger talent. We're not going to just recycle the same old XWB people and angles and storylines and roll-ups.
I didn't think it was a bad show. I just kind of thought it was kind of mediocre with a lot of cage matches that were cage matches just because the cage was up and there was no other reason for it to be in a cage.
The cage match pay-per-view.
Right, but it's that's and we've had this conversation. I don't agree with an entire show being cage matches because that takes away from the meaning of having a cage match.
Yeah, well, this is the first lockdown, like what, 10, 11
8
years?
years.
8
years,
years.
yeah.
I'll give them this. I just I had the show on in the background. I haven't really had a chance to watch it yet. But from kind of what I kind of saw was at least it seemed like all the matches were different, which has been a problem in previous years with Lockdown, where it's just like every match was the same. Yeah, like it's everybody bled pretty much at the same point. Everybody jumped out the fucking cage. It's just at the very least, like everybody did something a little different with the cage. And although I hate regular theme pay-per-views, this is once a year. It's a TNA thing. I'm okay with it. It's just they need to be next year. We need to be rolling into this pay-per-view with better storytelling.
Right.
And there needs to be a reason why.
Right.
Why these things happen in cage. And sometimes it's one of those things where like less is more.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you just need to have the simple story of I hate you, you hate me, but we need to fight so that your friends can't interfere.
Right.
And you allow the cage to not have people interfere. That it needs to be, hey, our matches are so out of control that we need the cage so that we can stop going into the crowd.
Right.
Like you've got to take the time to go, this is why these particular matches are happening in the cage, and not just do a match that happens to be in the cage because the entire pay-per-view needs cage matches.
Right. When they sit there and they advertise Kazarian versus Moose, this is their first time facing each other ever, and it's in a cage.
Yeah.
Why?
Again, I give them a pass because they're in the middle of He moved on from Dreamer. Delirious now runs everything. You knew that it was he. You can't just all of a sudden like create storylines within like weeks and have it like, oh yeah, this. It's gonna take time, and they're also breaking in kids. So this is for you, Kevin. And then I'll have you go to you, JG. When you have people like Jada Stone, M by Elegance, H by Elegance, Casey Navarro to an extent, Ricky Sosa, like how do you protect them without, but also throw them in deep end where a lot of them, they're not used to cutting promos, they're not used to wrestling in big crowds, they're not used to wrestling on TV, and yet unlike WWE where you can send them to NXT or Evolve, you have to sort of like, all right, now's the time. Hey, here's deep end, and hopefully they won't drown.
Yeah, well, listen, that was the old school territory way, like right. You just sometimes you got to sink or swim, and
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with eating shit. There's nothing wrong with failing.
Mhm.
No one has a great match every single time.
Yeah.
And you need to have a shitty match to understand how to not have a shit match. I don't listen. I think that they've done a really good job, especially with this pay-per-view, of getting like you just need the reps. You need the exposure. You need just to experience different things. So I don't mind it, but I do think that you can you can set up a lot. You can set up a lot in 2 weeks. You just can. You just can't. So I think well again, it comes down to the at the end of the day. I know people don't want to hear this, but at the end of the day, the biggest promotion on the planet for what 60 something years at this point is the WWE/F, right?
Mhm.
No one does it better. They are the standard bearer.
Mhm.
The thing that they do differently is they focus on the entertainment. And when you figure out how to bring the entertainment and have it match your style, people notice.
Mhm.
Nitro, right? Like Nitro was the shit. And why was WCW able to finally turn the corner and stop being the other wrestling fed? It's because they entertained. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, fine. They needed some WB guys to do it, but that is just the nature of the beast, right? Like
Mhm.
sports teams trade people all the time. The so you bring people in specifically for that energy, for that name value. The right now in the algorithm era, these guys need to be doing more to different. You can compete. Well, listen, you need to be an alternative to the WWE by embracing the things that the WWE does best, because the
Mhm.
WWE doesn't even do the things that they do best anymore. It's characters. You need characters. You need excitement.
Mhm.
There isn't a lot of excitement in the shows anymore, which is why that the LA Knight Save Solo Spikes Roman segment was so big, because it was genuinely exciting. We're not getting those big moments anymore. So TNA wants to stand out and wants to continue its momentum. They've got to find a way to get the show exciting. You just have to. And I know we want to talk shit about Russo, but Russo for more time than he wasn't. Russo has proven that you can do a lot of things in a 2.5 hour time span. The Asylum years were fucking awesome. I don't care what anybody says. They were awesome. Sure. The girls in the cages and sports entertainment extreme, like that lame shit. Yeah, that was lame.
Yeah.
And the
But
ejaculating midgets.
But
yeah,
there was good stuff in there too.
but there was a lot of really good fun stuff in there.
Right.
The when he first got to WCW, and a lot of the big character changes that he did, like when he was Dr. Claw. Those
Yeah.
first 2 months on Nitro were fucking awesome. And it fell off, but it was awesome. The the majority of the Attitude Era. Like there was a noticeable difference, and the Vince Russo has left the World Wrestling Federation. Like that first month was like, what the fuck is happening on Raw? This sucks. Then they finally got their rhythm again. But like the you could watch a Raw from 98. So I said from 98 to 99. Um, they crammed a lot of stuff in the 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Hmm.
But everybody was on the show,
Hmm.
everybody had something to do, and everybody was over as fuck. So it's just a matter of figuring out what your people do well and how to leverage what they do well into making your show entertaining. And if you don't have the people that can do it, you got to know where to go get them.
Hmm.
There needs to be more of a focus on being entertaining. The I've said 1,000 times. There's not a wrestling match in the fucking planet or a wrestling move done by anybody that has ever sold out an arena
Yeah.
or ever sold a ticket. It's always about the story.
Hmm.
So they got like we just need more compelling stories because I don't like it's just all right like
Like I'll say this: there are a couple guys in TNA who have good, compelling stories. Mustafa Ali is Order 4 and terrorizing Jason Hodge's family a bit. That's compelling. And I give him credit. They're
They
going
did
a
the
place
story in
where
reverse, though.
it's better than WWE, which is like, oh, we're just gonna feud over a title. They're trying something different.
yep.
Nick Nemeth bullying people, going, "Oh yeah, who the hell are you? Oh, you're an indie guy here," and that's compelling. The elephant in the room is the two most creative, compelling guys are the Hardys, and they just don't have it. Kevin, look, I know you always say age is just a number, and everybody in their 40s is in much better shape. You've seen the Hardys, JJ. You and I were watching that match. Like
They are broken down.
Father Time and AEW and WWE basically broke their bodies in half. So if you're TNA, like how tough was it when you want to do more with the Hardys and yet you really had to protect them because they can't work as anything what they used to. Like Jeff Hardy can't even when he does, basically the splash in the corner, he can't even barely get up. So what do you
Right.
do if you're TNA and you're going, crap, we might have to move on from the Hardys because they can't physically do it anymore.
Yep.
I already told you they need to move them into a role like on TV as an in character mentors to the tag division. That way they're still on TV, they're still at the shows, they can still do the signings, the autographs and all that stuff. And they can have a match every once in a while, but they make them the on-screen mentors for the new burgeoning tag division.
Yep. You've got to protect the parties from themselves.
All right.
The like I think ECW was the template for this, right? Like Terry Funk.
Hmm.
Anytime Terry Funk showed up and wrestled, it was special.
Yeah.
But Terry Funk wasn't on every week.
Right.
Terry Funk wasn't on a pay-per-view every month. You needed to save it so that
Mhm.
when he did show up, the sometimes he looked great, sometimes you're like, oof. But it was Terry Funk, so you ate it up because Terry
Yeah.
Funk's one of those guys. The Hardys are in that position where they're just one of those guys. Like one, they need time off. You need time to heal.
Mhm.
Although, yes, they're probably at an age though where taking time off is probably their enemy because their bodies seem like I don't really want to fucking do this.
Right.
But the Hardys should not be on every pay-per-view, should not be wrestling on every show. They really should be when the Hardys wrestle now, it needs to be special.
Right.
They can be involved in the show. They can help drive a story, but the Hardys shouldn't be giving you all this physicality. They just shouldn't. It's because it's going to get to a point where it start to get sad, not noticeable, sad, and you don't want that. That's legacy tarnishing. Um, And yeah, these are guys who worked a car crash style for a very long time. So like it's also incumbent upon the Hardys to and listen, and they have. they have that they don't do as much as they used to, but I still think they do a little too much to try to to try to I get it, they don't want to rest on their laurels, but like at some point in time, like you got to kind of be like, I don't need to be jumping off the top rope every 5 minutes. Maybe I'm gonna go off the top rope to finish the match. Like fucking Bullet Barb Armstrong was wrestling and going off the top rope, and how he was in his late 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can do that. you know? So it's just a matter of, yeah, like you said, like the what the Hardys bring to the show, the capacity upon which they do it, it's got to change. It's got to evolve. It's just got to evolve.
Well, our final segment gives us some hope. So TNA, Carl Silva met with the IWC second most hated guy outside of JJ, Nicola Piccolo, and his Randstad group met with Carlos Silva and TNA, and I guess they're talking eventually to some investment into the company, some financial support, helping build more of the media brand, the outlet. Kevin, you
They
talked about
need.
this before. Like TNA could be number two if they could get the right financial package behind them. If they could get people understood, hey, how to produce TV. How
Yeah,
much could this be like for them the saving grace and that damn they need to keep people. And it's tough when you're going up against Tony and his unlimited checkbook and WB and their well funded coffers. So how much for a TNA is like this could be sort of the turning point for them? Like, all right, we can get more money, we can sign, the M by Elegances, the set, the Casey Navarro's. I'll even go, Ricky Sosa's to long term deals. Get guys, there who aren't going to just leave after 6 months or a year because hey, there's a better offer coming down the table.
yeah. Well, I think part of it is you got to lock down a very young roster
Yes.
and create the opportunity for that roster to cut their teeth on your dime. So whereas where it's different, where AEW was different in the sense that AEW signed a bunch of people who had no business being signed, and putting them in a position they had no business being put in. Like they signed guys who'd only had like 5 matches,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then threw them on TV and did nothing with them. It's a little different. TNA should be gobbling up guys who have been around for 3 to 5 years and putting them in an environment where they can learn on their TV, and surround them with some guys who've been around for a little bit but aren't exactly in high demand.
What have I been saying, Chris?
You have it. That's why I said like if you're TNA and you're Anthem, like do you go up to Leon Slater right now and go, look, just give us a number, tell us what it would take to stay here. We will pay that because again, and I love TNA, but it's tough when like Jordan Grace leaves, Mike Santana leaves, Steve
Mm-hmm.
Macklin leaves, Joe Hendry leaves. I get it, it's a business. I'm happy for them, but you eventually got to keep your talent, or else you're just
Yeah.
basically a
Well,
feeder
I mean,
system.
so you've got to be prepared to have a whole new roster every 5 years.
Yep.
Like it's just the Jordan Graces, the Mike Santanas, the Joe Hendrys. They were there a good amount of time that this was what happened was inevitable.
Right.
It's the backfill where they screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be like, I'm gonna sign a bunch of guys that only have a few years experience today. And in 2.5 years from now, in my head, I need to be going, hey, I need to be prepared to live in a world where I'm not going to have these guys in another 2 years.
Right.
Because they should have gotten to a point where they're over enough that someone's going to be looking. If I'm lucky enough to hold on to at least two of them, then those are going to be the guys I'm going to treat the best
Mm-hmm.
because that's where I'm making my financial investment. On the other side of it, it's about the exposure, right? You need your talent to learn how to be. You need your stars to learn how to be TV personalities. How to be media darlings, how to maximize your marketing dollars, right? Because at the end of the day, marketing facilitates the demand.
Mm-hmm.
So, signing with Nicola Piccolo and getting the media training and getting the production value up, that is life altering for talent. Because now, if I am someone who is trying to hold out for either a slot on NXT or big AEW payout, um, it's if I sort of go, well, I can still wrestle a lot, get a lot of good experience, but I'm also going to learn how to increase my value, right? Like, because you're part of your value, part of increasing your asset as a wrestler is your ability to know how to sit in front of a television camera and sit on the morning news channel, or to get yourself in a movie. Um, or how to conduct yourself on social media. This is a big chunk of why you don't take AEW talent seriously, is because they behave like
Children.
not yeah, they behave like children. They behave like the stupid marks that you used to see in the wrestling message boards. They behave like observer boys. The or if you put them in front of a news camera, they look disinterested, or they're bumbling idiots.
Right.
But I can take any on the WWE roster and I can drop them on the Tonight Show, and they understand that they are an ambassador of a multi-billion-dollar empire, and that their shit needs to be tight. So TNA has the ability to do that on a much lower scale, so that it makes their marketability in 5 to 10 years that much more valuable to a WWE. Or I can go to a Japan and understand, and cash out big time because I'm an American who knows how to conduct himself on television. The so it's like the I was shouting out Gino earlier. The When you go to a wrestling school that is run by someone who actually did something in the business,
Mhm.
and actually has the ability to directly impart that information onto you, not someone who happened to be friends with someone, or someone who has no business teaching you, but someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And if you're one of those people who's fucking smart enough to realize what you're being taught and how you need to apply it and how you need to pass it down, you are that much better than everybody else. So this is a tremendous opportunity for TNA, because it's going to help them build their future. It's going to make them more marketable to people who actually want to take this seriously. Because right now, we're in this weird space on the indies where, like, the old school Weekend Warrior used to be the guy who, um, I love, like, up fuck it, like a Damian Adams, right? Damian was a guy who was always in the syndicated shows,
Mhm.
but Damian was too short during a time when everybody needed to be fucking 6'2".
Right.
But Damien came from a group of guys that they wrestled every weekend. They took it seriously. They broke it down. They taught you how to treat the sport with respect, how to take it serious but not take yourself seriously. And a lot of those guys are gone now. So now the weekend warrior is I do this so that I can tell my friends I'm a wrestler. Not that I want to be a wrestler who's had to come to grips with the fact that Monday through Monday through Friday, or rather Monday through Thursday, I'm John Smith. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm Johnny Thunder. You know what I mean? So it's like
Oh,
and
that was a deep cut.
but I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, the world needs a lot more fucking Johnny Thunders. The it's just it just is, and I hope Johnny's watching this, because the world needs more Johnny Thunders. The indies need guys who understand what it is, and how to pass it down to the next group, as
Right.
opposed to these fucktards who just want to cut the same stupid awful promo that you see in every episode of Beyond. I fucking respect you.
I'm
We
here to
just
be the best.
That's right. And even though we just punch each other in the face for the last 45 minutes in front of this bar filled with 200 people. That's really 400 people. I mean, that's really 45 people, but I'm going to tell you it's 200 people. I fucking respect you.
I left it all out there on the mat.
My blood, sweat, and tears. Like, shut the fuck up. No one cares, asshole. Did you slap that kid's hand? Did you tell him to come see you? Did you sign the fucking autograph? Does your gear look cool? Okay, cool. Keep it fucking moving, you fucking mark.
Right.
That's the value of what this can be, is young kids getting really early exposure, being taught how to not just build their brand, but elevate the company's brand. Because yes, I do think it's really funny that we're in a place right now where you can call something TNA because the youngins just don't know what TNA is.
Right.
So now, at least now it's time to elevate the brand, and you should be able to say it in the same breath as the WWE.
Well, speaking of elevating the brand, we got to end this show, but before we do that, we got to elevate this brand here. That's right. It's Fontana Village Pro Wrestling, the best damn wrestling. And Kevin, I know you want to plug this, so Kevin Apollo, what is this show, September 6th? Why should we care? Why should people give you this money other than, you'll be a part of it. You'll have Ricky Morton there, and it looks like a fun time at the Fontana Village.
Yeah, so listen, man, in my real life, I am the HR director for Montana Village Resort. I'm over here in the in the Smokies, and Southern wrestling is just so effing cool. It's so much fun, and we're looking to do some really fun things here at the Village. This is a very historic location. It means a lot to a lot of people, and as we kind of look to one, kind of rebuild some of the public's trust. Everybody loves wrestling. And I thought, and I was like, we're right here on on the border of Tennessee, right by the tail of the dragon. There's nothing better than let's bring in some Southern wrestling icons. The Ricky Morton doesn't get better than that. Big Doc Gallows is tearing it up over in Georgia. He's gone out of his way to come through here, and then Big Bull James, that brother. So he's the glue that brings it all together. But we're bringing a lot of young talent. I don't know, initially I think we had Avery Styles on, but we've got Doc's son who's doing some really good things, and a lot of really talented young Southern wrestlers who have a lot of passion, a lot of athleticism. And this is going to be our first show. We're looking at hopefully the first of many, so we're looking to do something really cool here. And it's a beautiful location. It's a beautiful location. I'm like, you know what? I got this nice, big, beautiful banquet room. It will hell of a lot better if I threw a wrestling ring in there and we kicked some ass for a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon going into a major holiday. So come on through, scan the barcode, buy some tickets, stay the weekend, get some concessions, hang out with Big Doc. I don't know what Ricky Morton's going to do, but it's going to be effing cool. And so support, show some love and come out if you're in the area.
Well, very heavily. So before we let them go, they got to start plugging their stuff. So we'll start once again first. The most hated man of the IWC because he doesn't care about your feelings. I give you Joseph J. Alexander. JJ, what's going on with White Heat? Where can fans check you out? And what else do you have with your other podcasts on Full Circle Radio?
So youtube.com for Full Circle Radio, also on Odyssey, the same tag, Full Circle Radio. Unfortunately, my schedule prevents me from doing a live broadcast on Sunday, so I won't be doing that. But I will be putting together a regular episode of White Heat. We just released our most recent episode of Cinematic Jackass, where we did we watched along and riffed the urban horror movie Bitch Ass. That was a lot of fun. Working on a 3-part series, a 3-parter for the show Brass Tacks that I do, where I do a watch along and analysis of a really bad reality TV show. That was a new project that was being undertaken. And Wildcard Cinema comes back next week with the next episode in season 4. So we got a lot going on over on the channel.
And once again, the man who joined us a little bit late because he was celebrating Nicola Piccolo about a certain wrestling journalist getting fired. I heard there was champagne involved. Kevin might have had a couple glasses, but you also got to check out on his show, Kevin and Lauren show. I give you once again, pro wrestler, promoter, podcaster, and he has no problem slapping some blue-haired, emo boys in the face if they get a little bit fresh with them. I give you to Kevin Apollo. Kevin, what else can we check out your stuff? What's going on with your channel, and where else can fans check out All American Coliseum Wrestling?
Yeah, so we're gonna have some announcements coming from the American Coliseum Wrestling side soon. A little some brand changing. There's another ACW running around out there with a logo that looks very familiar. But I'll save that rant for another time. But some people know what they did. But we got some cool stuff coming. Right now, really, I just spend a lot of time here in North Carolina, over in Fontana. So, there's a lot going on. I'm hoping to relaunch the House of Apollo. I want to get back out to get some videos going, but other than that, just check me out on Tuesdays and Fridays on the Lauren and Apollo show. Airing live on the WWE Pro, and then with the episodes featured on that Park Place. But I'm floating around. I'm always floating around. Hit me up on Twitter. We'll have some fun on Twitter or Instagram if I allow you to actually follow my page on the Instagram.
Once again, Kevin Apollo, JJ Alexander, always honor, pleasure having you gentlemen on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here. Only on it's Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol. Only on the Last Call Podcast.com.